Settle in, let her run. Feel the glide, feel the sun. Enjoy the ride, have some fun. Settle in.
All right, today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks when it comes to using a pressure washer or power washer. This is kind of going to be a do-it-yourself a video for people inexperienced using pressure washers. Some tips and tricks that's going to make it easier for you to pressure wash and to get your job done a little bit faster. I'm using today, this is just a small 3200 PSI pressure washer. I like to use a small one like this when I'm pressure washing by myself. I can lift it up, put it into the bed of a truck, really easily and go pressure wash on the job site. If I want to pressure wash a lot faster and be more efficient, I'm going to be using my 4500 PSI pressure washer, but it's way too big for me to lift. It just goes in the back of my trailer, but this one's convenient to use. I can take it with me in the back of the truck. So just some kind of the basics about a pressure washer. You're just going to have an inlet. My water's going to come in right here. I'm just going to hook up my water to this pressure washer just like this. Very simply, easily. So pressure washer, it's got water attached to it now. Typically, I like to run multiple hoses so I don't have to move my pressure washer around very often. So I'm going to be today, this is just a 50-foot hose. I usually run two 50-foot hoses attached together. I'm just going to attach that. It's just a quick release. Now my water is attached, my hose is attached, and now I'm going to attach my gun to my hose. So now I got my gun right here. I'm going to attach my gun to my hose, just quick release right here. Now the gun, I got a spray flex on my gun. I really like having a spray flex on my gun, especially if I'm doing like walkways, decks and stuff, so I can hold it like this and I can shoot in a downward motion just like this, and it's a lot easier for me to spray instead of having to do it like this. Spray flex will bend in any way you want it to if you want to do gutters. So I like having a spray flex attached. I also use a rotating nozzle. This is a Mighty M rotating nozzle with a filter on it, and this thing will run on any pressure washer up to 6,000 PSI. A rotating nozzle agitates the surface and cleans a lot faster than any type of flat nozzles. So rotating nozzle is my go-to nozzle, typically 90% of the pressure washing I do. The only other nozzle I'm going to be using would be a straight nozzle, and this is just going to shoot a straight stream, and this is going to be used to reach high places that I don't want to or can't access with the ladder. So this is my setup right here. Now I'm going to do is just turn on my water. We'll give you some tips and tricks once the water's turned on. All right, so now once I got my water hooked up, quick tip, you want to just take and run your water until all the air is purged out of this line. Now you can quickly do it without a tip on it, because if you attempt to start your pressure washer up with air in the line, what's going to happen is it's going to have air in there, and it's going to be trying to prime itself, and it's going to take quite a while. It's going to be cycling up and down, and struggling to prime this air out of here. So it's better to just get it done initially so your pressure washer doesn't have to do it. So now all the air's out. Now I can get ready to start my pressure washer up. And some quick tips when it comes to starting your pressure washer. We're going to go over that really quick. Now, pressure washer, we're going to typically have an on-off switch. So I'm going to show you right here. We got an on-off switch right here. You want to make sure it's in the on position. You're also going to have a choke on here. This pressure washer has a choke right here. So initially you're going to have to choke it. Just flip it to choke. It'll have a fuel on-off. I never turn this fuel on-off switch at all. Even when I'm storing it in the wintertime, I never mess with it. So it's set in the on position. If it's in the off position, make sure it's on. Throttle, we always keep it at full throttle. So you're going to see a turtle and a rabbit, have it over to rabbit position. I never mess with that either. It's kind of very simple and easy to use. Now this one, it's got a pull start on it. Simple trick when it comes to pull starting, squeeze your trigger. If there's any pressure behind the pump, it's going to be really hard to pull the pull start. So I'm going to pull the trigger, and then I'm going to pull start it while the trigger is engaged right here and water squirting out of it, just like this. And once you get it kicked over, it's on choke, you're gonna have to turn it off of choke and then it'll start running. You can see right there, it's not initially spinning and turning because there's air still inside the pressure washer. It didn't run it enough to purge all the air out. Don't worry, it'll eventually just purge itself out. So once again, I'm gonna pull my trigger, release the pressure. It's been running for a second. I might not have to choke it again. We'll try one pull. It didn't start, so I'm just gonna choke it. Turn it off, choke. Got to turn it to on position for it to start. Off there, so you can see it struggled. There was still some air in the line. You just got to run all that air, otherwise it's just going to take a while for it to purge itself out. Now, a few other tips when it comes to the pressure washer. If you're going to be switching nozzles at all, this is extremely important. Put a nozzle on and never keep your fingers in front of the tip itself. But when you go to pull this trigger, if there's any pressure behind it, make sure you're not pointing the nozzle in the air because it's going to launch that thing if it's not fully engaged and seated in there. Never point it at anybody. Point it down, typically at the ground, a soft surface, before you actually start squeezing the trigger. Point it down, then squeeze the trigger. I've actually pulled the trigger. Thing quick release wasn't engaged with one of these tips, and it shot it 1,000 feet in the air. Who knows? I have no idea where it went. It's happened to me a couple times. Could be extremely dangerous. Could break a window. So now another quick tip when it comes to the pressure washer. If this is your pressure washer, you definitely want to make sure if you're going to be storing it and not using it for any period of time. If I'm not going to use it for a week, I actually always run a pump protector inside my pressure washer. I'm going to release my hoses, roll them all up, and then I'm going to squeeze and put pump protector inside the pump. That way it won't corrode and it won't also freeze. It'll keep it from freezing if it was stored anywhere where it could freeze. All right, there you have it. There's some tips and tricks, for anybody that hasn't, had a lot of experience or any experience with a pressure washer, getting this thing up and running and going. If you got any questions or comments, leave it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if this video has helped you in any way. We'll see you next time right here on Paint Like TV. Out.
Sound of your voice is in my mind, and your smile, well, it's miles and miles away. Settle in, let her run, feel the glide, yeah, feel the sun, enjoy the ride, have some fun. Settle in, let her run. Tell them goodbye ain't the hardest part. It's the fire down in my heart. You ain't here, struck with fear.